Tonight, the Chief Medical Officer and other stakeholders meet to fine-tune the process for receiving visitors following the arrival of 131 passengers on Thursday. An air of jubilation as hotels welcome international guests in grand style. And the Southern Minibus Association maintains that its drivers will likely be sick on Monday. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Loveless and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Friday, the 10th of July, 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and our Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. On Thursday, the 9th of July, St. Lucia received the first international flight since the border opening on the 4th of June 2020. A total of 131 passengers traveled into St. Lucia, a combination of both nationals and visitors. The island's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar George, says as guided by established protocols, all arriving passengers were screened by the health team at the Uanora International Airport Public Health Facility before entering the airport terminal.
None of the passengers displayed respiratory symptoms nor had fever. A total of 6 PCR tests were done at the airport on arrival, and these travelers were unable to travel into the island with their documented results. Passengers were later filtered to one of the locations established for the quarantine period.
She explains that many measures were put in place to ensure the efficient processing of the arriving travelers at the airport health facility. The processing of the 131 passengers lasted for 1 hour and 30 minutes in total. A debriefing meeting was held immediately after the process was complete, and it involved representatives from the Ministry of Health with the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority and representatives of all other relevant agencies.
This allowed to identify the strengths within the current process flow, as well as to identify areas requiring improvements. These improvements will focus on supporting the smooth flow of the passengers, which includes increased signage, dedicated lines for passengers with different conditions, and the use of a numbering system to provide some order in attending to the travelers, and increased number of booths for the processing of health screening.
The CMO says as health officials continue into the phased reopening of the country, the public is advised to maintain the recommended public health measures to reduce the risk of transmission of COVID-19 in the event of the importation of cases. As of the 10th of July, St. Lucia has recorded a total of 22 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and 19 of these cases have fully recovered, with 3 currently in care and progressing well. There was an air of jubilation at the Bay Gardens Resort on Friday as the hotel welcomed its first guests since the island welcomed its first international commercial flight on Thursday. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
Bay Gardens Beach Resort is putting together a wholesome welcome package to welcome their first set of guests since borders were reopened on July 4th. The first commercial flight touched down in St. Lucia on July 9th, 2020. Management and staff put up a welcome Feet for a King at the resort, but with Caribbean flair. Bay Gardens Resort is one of the many hotels that suffered major loss due to the closure of borders and the resulting shutdown of the tourism sector. Now that the island's borders are opened and the first commercial flight from the U.S. has arrived, the hotel is in celebration mode.
And we're going to have the staff on either side of the road leading to the property, and they will be waving a St. Lucia flag or a Bay Gardens flag. So they wave and they welcome with cheering and laughter and smiles. So the guest gets off the taxi, and again the certified taxi. So the bags have been sanitized, but our staff is going to be taking the bags from the driver. They will be wearing their gloves. The guest first goes into the temperature area. They get their temperature done. After they've done the temperature, then they proceed to the front desk to check in. So what we've done now, in the past, when a guest check in, we would print a reg card and you give them a pen. So now we're limiting that paper and that contact as much as possible. So we now have a contactless station where the guest checks in online. Some of them check in online before they get here, but you still have the older folks who still want to do it when they get here. So then we have the facility where they can check in at the desk, but not pen and paper. They're going to have that contactless screen. In the past, we would serve a welcome drink and give a cold towel on arrival. Now we had to stay away from that. And again, we're trying to limit the contact as much as possible. So we will have some coconuts. That's what the guests will get. A nice coconut with either gin or tonic or something in there. And that's what they're going to have as their welcome drink.
Staff have been trained and briefed on the new rules and regulations governing operations during the COVID-19 pandemic. All guests will be briefed and provided the rules and regulations of the resort as well as basic information on the coronavirus. We hope all guests and staff adhere to all protocols set to protect them from COVID-19. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
The president of the Southern Minibus Association, Philip Jabatis, maintains that come Monday, 2H drivers may not be feeling well enough to ply the Vieux Fort to Castries route. He indicated that the plight of drivers seems to have been forgotten, while other sectors are being catered to.
The president of the Southern Minibus Association, Philip Jabatis, continues to agitate for minibus drivers to be allowed to operate at full capacity. He says many cries have gone out, yet to date, no officials have released any information that could aid the plight of minibus drivers around the island.
But one of the things after I was on air, I knew they called Mr. Ferdinand at National NCOBT, the president, the chief medical officer, and she says that she was a bit taken by surprise that, I went on there and said that we'll be medically sick. And as I said, I reiterate my point. She said she was trying to have a meeting on Tuesday, but to date, that has not been confirmed. That meeting on Tuesday with all the bus presidents of the bus association. But I'm still saying, if that is not confirmed by tomorrow, we will be having an emergency meeting and the 2H will be mentally sick on Monday.
It would appear that the drivers of the 2H route are issuing an ultimatum to the authorities and are now awaiting a response. He, however, was very adamant that drivers would only be unfit for work and not necessarily be striking. It has, however, been observed that many other drivers on various routes are carrying 15 passengers. Jabatis says this practice is at the discretion and the risk of these drivers.
I'm saying that is left to the police, to police that and the dispatchers. Unless they confirm that on air and there is an SI to that. As I said, if people want to take their chances, but nothing has been confirmed on SI or on the media. So we're waiting on the chief medical officer along with the Minister of Transport, which he always used to give things about the buses, to come out and say something.
Jabatis indicated that minibus operators will be following Prime Minister Alan Chastain's address to the nation on Sunday very closely in hopes that they are given the go-ahead to operate at full capacity. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
The Labour Minister is admonishing the actions of unions across the island for alleged disrespect towards him. As unions continue to agitate for the rights of their members, Stephenson King has been in the line of fire. However, he says he will not stoop to their levels by responding in a disrespectful manner. Rochelle Gonzalez explains.
Stephenson King, who is the island's current Labour Minister, has called out the local unions who he claims have acted disrespectfully towards him during his stint. In recent months, the different unions have taken aim at the minister as they agitate for the rights of workers across a number of different sects. Speaking on the matter on Thursday, King said he is aware that the unions are trying to get under his skin, but he will not play their games.
The union has been writing some very disrespectful letters of late, and I personally believe that I won't waste my time with the union. I don't have any reason to enter into any fight with the union. The union is doing what it believes is best for it, and they can continue. I am doing my work, and no union will undermine me or will destroy my reputation and the work that I'm doing for the workers of this country.
Whilst on the subject of unions, the Labour Minister gave an update of the ongoing unrest at the St. Jude Hospital involving staff and an unwanted HR manager.
That is a matter which is coming before me in the next week or thereabout. The union seem not to be satisfied with the manner in which the administration has handled the issue. There were certain commitments given to be attained by a particular deadlines. Obviously, the hospital has not done so, and therefore we will have to intervene to resolve the issue once and for all.
King says he aims to run a tight ship with preserved integrity and honest workers. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, the police commissioner says COVID-19 impeded the completion of the investigation into the death of Arnold Joseph, who was shot by police. A petition to do away with reverence for Admiral Rodney, given his opposition to the abolition of slavery. And a senator calls for the observation of National Day to be reviewed. That and more after the break.